Okay, one topic I did want to get into just before we even begin to talk about anything else besides glasses, apparently. So basically, when I did the podcast with Sharp the other day, there was like a very brief segment in which I spoke about basically, like, for some reason, I just took it upon myself to just be a little bit open and emotional and talked about the fact that I kind of missed T-Rell. And I talked about the fact that I didn't really like feel like anything happened between us that would prohibit us having a cool relationship, you know? And I was just kind of like thinking out loud about the fact that, you know, that when I look at what happened between he and I, there was really nothing. You know, there was like nothing significant that occurred between us that would preclude that kind of relationship. And for some reason, his response to this was to basically go on his stream and do like a half-hour kind of like weird quasi attack on me, where he basically made it clear that he wasn't cool with me for whatever reason, or he had this sort of resentment against me. And you know, I felt like I had like a general idea of what was going to be in it just from seeing, you know, a couple of captions of the clips from the Reddit or whatever. But I sat down yesterday and I watched the full 30-minute clip, which, keep in mind, the thumbnail has bullet holes in my face. So that's the kind of aggression that we're talking about here. And I actually opened up the notepad on my phone because I wanted to make sure that my response was coherent and that I was able to kind of catalog whatever issues you might have had with me. And I didn't write anything down because in the full 30-minute clip, he didn't even come close to answering the question of like what happened between he and I that caused tension. The only thing that he talks about basically in the clip in terms of things between us was the money side of things. Now, I've made this pretty clear in terms of how I approach paying people or you know, having people get paid through No Jumper, which is that, you know, if you want to get a raise, generally speaking, you're probably going to have to talk to like Josh or I about that. Like, we're not really just like chasing people down to be like, hey, we want to give you more money. That's not really, it's not really how it works, you know, in general. And
corporation work.
Anyone who's ever had a job knows that generally speaking, maybe if you get a new title, that there will be a raise associated with that, you know, but for the most part, a closed mouth doesn't get fed. Now, T-Rell is somebody that I consider generally pretty smart, but the fact that he doesn't seem to really have anything of substance to say about what apparently I did to him, the desire for like a victimhood narrative is so strong that, you know, you could have someone like him listen to me say some kind things, I thought, for a couple of minutes on a podcast, and that his response would be, and this says a lot about the incentives of making YouTube content and just how people know that if they are to say something critical, or at least title it in such a way that it looks critical, that there's going to be a ton of people tuning in, and that that's very much what the audience wants to see. But, you know, I guess that was kind of a little bit of a learning experience for me, is like, oh, I was kind of transparent and emotionally available for 2 minutes on the podcast, and instead I just get this dude making a half-hour video with bullet holes in the thumbnail talking about money. Because I dropped a comment pretty soon after it came out, and on the YouTube video, and I think I said, it's hilarious to quit before asking for a raise or something like that. And he responded basically saying it wasn't about money. I would have worked for free, yada, yada. Well, okay, if it's not about money, then what is it about? Because that video didn't answer that question at all. T-Rell and I always had a cool relationship. When his fucking store flooded, you know, who was the first people to donate money? It was me and Lena. Besides Tyga, I don't even know who else donated. I'm pretty sure the store still isn't open. You know, it's like, I may not have been as in his face as he would have expected or he would have liked or whatever. But the truth is that I put T-Rell on in a lot of ways. I don't even want to say me. No Jumper put him on, put him in a position to win. Now, you might be able to say, like, look, AD brought him to the platform, whatever, for sure. But I shared the platform with him and allowed him to basically build something that now he has as, like, a real opportunity to take care of his family and make money and everything. And still, after watching that clip, I don't feel like I have an answer on the question of why things went sour or why things are like that. Because if you actually watch, some fan took it upon himself to basically, like, put T-Rell's explanations for leaving side by side, like when it first happened and then the other day, and they're so fundamentally different because at first he wasn't really playing into this victim narrative as hard, whereas now he's like really leaning into it, even though he's not telling you what happened between us because nothing happened that would cause him to leave. The reality is he left because he has this sense of loyalty to the people who brought him to the platform, which I respect that. That's cool. But you don't have to lie and act like there was some shit that happened between us or you were so disrespected. And also, this is another thing is like, why have I sat back for all of this time and just allowed everybody to lie about how much they were getting paid? That's one thing I've been thinking about is like, why did I just allow everybody to sort of run with these crazy narratives? I just want to make one thing clear. I have never had anyone in terms of on-air talent getting paid 6 figures a year.
Whole set yelling, track, 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 track.